There's a big difference between being a really good player and being a very effective player. And for a while, Dembele wasn't as effective on the pitch as his very clear talent would lead you to believe he could be. Sometimes I forget that Ousmane Dembele's move to Barcelona still ranks as one of the most expensive transfers in football history. I mean, at the time, it was tied as the second most expensive transfer behind only Neymar's move to PSG. But for a lot of his career, even in his home country of France, Ousmane Dembele wasn't really taken too seriously, even when acknowledging that he had a ridiculous amount of ability, that if he could harness his talent, he could be one of the best players in the world, a truly scary talent. But people would instead look to his gaming habits, his interviews where he seems confused.
Mais vous êtes droitier ou gaucher?
Ouais, je suis plus gaucher.
Et les pénaltys, vous les tirez pas du droit?
Si.
Pourquoi?
Parce que je tire mieux du droit.
His injury record, or his football manager save from the 2018 World Cup.
Manchester, 3e division. Je suis monté en championship. Regarde le classement.
In other words, not a huge focus on what he was doing on the pitch, because for a while, he was barely on the pitch. Those hamstrings were consistently overwhelmed. His departure from Barcelona felt like the necessary closing of a chapter, and in his final season or so, he actually did find some consistency under Xavi, which led to a lot of optimism for Dembele enjoyers when it came to his move to PSG. But it's safe to say that in his time at PSG, besides his great performance against his former club Barcelona in the Champions League, he hadn't really truly taken off until this year. Yes, this year, not just this season. Now, Dembele looks like the player he always threatened to be, is the most informed goalscorer in Europe, and has also become a reliable fix for a big problem area for Luis Enrique, the striker position, or in this case, the center forward position. It really feels like a lifetime ago that Dembele was on the rise at Stade Rennais and Borussia Dortmund before forcing his way to FC Barcelona in the summer of 2017. Unfortunately, with how things transpired at FC Barcelona, including questions over his commitment in training from teammates like Luis Suarez, rumors of late-night gaming sessions affecting his ability to train, and more, he has unfortunately been labeled as part of a series of financial missteps from Barcelona following Neymar's departure. Part of the reason is due to the fact that Dembele was unavailable for over 100 matches during his time with FC Barcelona, picking up the nickname Dembulance. Not sure if that came before or after this incredible video.
Vamos Jordi! Vamos Dembele! Vamos Dembele!
God, I love that video. But anyway, there was a moment where Dembele's contract was up for renewal, and Alemany made statements saying that it would be best if he would leave the club, only for Xavi and the fellows to then say, no, Dembele is an important player for us. He would stay for one more season, the 22-23 season, where he would be one of Barca's more important attackers, even if he still had some issues with his composure in the box or with his final ball at times. He was still a threat down that right flank. But that summer, with Barcelona not wanting to lose Dembele, off to Paris he went, once again heading to a club as Neymar was leaving it.
Dans ma maison, au Paris Saint-Germain, ici c'est Paris.
Things didn't go incredibly well to begin with, as Dembele's form and impact was far below expectation. Dembele himself even admitted that Ligue 1 had improved quite a bit since the last time he had played there. It was more difficult, and it took him 12 appearances to score his first goal in the league. It would take him 12 more to score his second and third in the same match. He picked up 8 assists in that first season, but was not considered a success for a player who carried his kind of expectations. And you may be saying, wait, what expectations? Considering he had failed to set the world alight at Barcelona when you compare that to the price tag and expectation he carried. But in his return to France, playing in Ligue 1, it was expected that he and Mbappe would torch the opposition, but Dembele wasn't doing his part yet, and Enrique was pretty disappointed in his signing. That is until PSG came up against Barcelona, and Dembele showed that he can indeed be motivated. All it took was a match against his former employers, where there was a lot of baggage there between the player, his agent, the club, and the supporters. Dembele scored in both legs of the match against FC Barcelona, helping PSG to a 6-4 aggregate win. Coupled with the brace he scored in the league within that 2-week period, it looked like he had arrived, heading into the next season with PSG. But that wasn't quite the case.
1, 2, 3, a la Madrid!
Now, with Mbappe leaving PSG, Dembele was one of the few older, bigger name players left at the club, as the club was pivoting away from their bling-bling era of signings, as Nasser Al-Khelaifi had put it, aka established stars that attract headlines and are good for marketing purposes, but don't really make for a cohesive sporting project on the pitch. Instead, you're seeing PSG sign younger, up-and-coming talents or utilizing their excellent academy, which they had failed to do so effectively in the past. Dembele was looked to as someone who could be a leader for PSG. I mean, as of last summer, nobody thought, he's a natural leader of men on the pitch or anything like that, but a leader through his performances. And things started great, man. Dembele had 8 goal contributions in his first 6 Ligue 1 appearances this season, but the wheels fell off again in the fall and early winter. First, Dembele was dropped. Guy didn't even get the invite to fly to London for PSG's match against Arsenal at the beginning of October, as Luis Enrique said that he was, quote, not meeting obligations. If someone doesn't comply or respect the expectations of the team, it means they are not prepared to play. I took the best decision for the team, and that is why I signed here, to create a team that has a strong identity and has a lot of character. Dembele then got himself sent off against Bayern Munich when PSG were already a goal down in Bavaria, which led to Enrique handing Dembele just 17 minutes against Nantes in their next match. And when asked about this, Enrique said, quote, I want to see players who are ready to fight and showcase their best selves. There were once again rumors of Dembele having issues with tardiness when it came to training and other team obligations. After the Nantes match, he also started from the bench against Auxerre, but in mid-December, everything seemed to click into place.
Cuts it back for Dembele. It's a superb goal.
Now, as mentioned, Dembele actually started the season really well, with those apparent disciplinary issues causing a bit of tension between himself and Luis Enrique later on. But starting with PSG's 3-1 win over Lyon on December 15th, Ousmane Dembele has been on a scoring tear that has seen him match some of his career best tallies for an entire season. So after the 3 goals he scored in December, Dembele has scored in every single match he has appeared in 2025, all 8 of those matches. In that stretch, he has scored 15 goals, more than any other player in the top 5 leagues in 2025, and in most cases with fewer matches played. That's right. Ousmane Dembele, Dembulance, has scored 15 goals in just 8 matches, picking up multiple Man of the Match awards along the way, scoring 2 consecutive hat-tricks against Stuttgart and Stade Brestois, before then going on to score 2 consecutive braces against AS Monaco and Stade Brestois in the Champions League. By the way, believe it or not, he became the first PSG player to ever score back-to-back hat-tricks. What? His minutes per goal in 2025 is 40.92, and no, there's nobody that has come close to touching that in this calendar year. And yes, he scored more in 2025 than Patrick Schick, Salah, Lautaro, Mbappe, Rafinha, Rodrigo. I mean, put whoever you want on the table, and they aren't touching him at the moment. This is the guy who would fire the ball over the bar from 10 yards away for fun in the past, and suddenly he couldn't miss if he tried. But for me, the most impressive part of it all has been just where he has been playing. Previously only ever deployed down the right flank, Dembele has been playing through the middle with Kvaratskhelia on his left and Bradley Barcola on his right. The player who would miss the water from the dock in the past, Dembele, is playing as a center forward and is absolutely prolific. This is not what anyone expected to see, and with PSG struggling to find a center forward with consistency after Gonzalo Ramos and Kolo Muani failed to lock down that position, please find me someone who was saying that Dembele would be the answer to this problem. But at the same time, while his sudden upturn in finishing ability is a surprise for sure, the fact that Dembele is a player that is central to PSG's success at the moment isn't really a surprise in some ways. Because you see, Dembele always had the raw materials to make up a devastating player. I mean, while his transfer fee to Barcelona was absolutely nuts, there's no way that valuation was accurate in the slightest, and they can thank Bartomeu for that. There was a reason as to why Barcelona believed in his ability and what he could become. Dembele had always had the assets to be a top talent of his generation. Speed, trickery, finesse, vision. The last things he was missing were his composure at times, some finishing ability, and of course, seemingly some professionalism and the ability to stay healthy for any stretch of time. When you look at this current run that he is on, of course it is not expected that he'll continue in this vein of form, That would be insane, but you can put a lot of it down to him finally finding those final pieces he had been missing, and the praise from Luis Enrique has been of the highest order, saying, quote, Ousmane can become the player he wants to be. If he remains confident in front of goal, he has no equal. He can score in any position, even with his head. He's a phenomenal player. I think it's wonderful when you have a player like Ousmane in such good form, and I think all the players put in a great performance. Dembele himself has said that he is enjoying the role of being a number 9 and the responsibility of having to score goals has suited him, even saying that under Enrique, he doesn't feel as though he is attached to the wing as he was under previous managers. He instead has the freedom to roam centrally, and he took to it so well that he now starts from a central position. And according to his French teammate Kylian Mbappe, it isn't a surprise to him that he has found his scoring touch. As Mbappe said, quote, I'm his number 1 supporter. I've known his qualities since we were 14. I also think he's had a mental breakthrough, which means he's more relaxed in front of goal. He's a top player. I think he's doing very well, and he's PSG's main attacking player. Now, of course, we'll see how long this streak goes on, but he's already smashed his own career highs when it comes to goals. But on top of that, it's great to see a player who many thought would just be a perennial underachiever, a guy who would have a career of what-ifs due to injuries, a guy who was often ridiculed throughout a large part of his career, finally find himself at the right club at the right time and able to showcase why he had so much expectation attached to his name. So long live Dembouz, and long live the viewers of this channel. I appreciate you guys for all of the support lately. I'm having a blast with the content, so thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow for some Champions League chat. Take care.